Today we're going to make Christmas puddings. It's still 8 months before Christmas, but as you know, they have to mature and look as black as possible. And you spent many days in this kitchen helping me do that, but now you're all scattered. And so I make the Christmas puddings on my own, and you put the wishes in, courtesy of modern technology. But we thought you would like to have the Christmas puddings made and see it and be part of it. I've been making Christmas puddings along with my sister Jean since I was about 10. So here we are, the pot that you will recognize, and the stirrers, and the recipe, which, isn't it tatty? Well, you know, it's been in my recipe book that I've had since I've been first married, 50 years, written out as my mother dictated it to me. Okay, so let's get started. First thing it says is wash the fruit, pat dry with a clean cloth. Well, that's what we did when I did them at home with my mother, along with my sister Jean. But now, of course, it's wonderful. You just take your seedless raisins and dump them in. We don't have to wash and dry this fruit anymore, as I just said. And I remember it was a 2-day process. You'd wash the fruit one day, spread it out on plates, pat it, dry with the cloth as instructed, and then these what we call golden raisins over here, which come from the green grapes, they call sultanas in England, and they were large and fatter than these, and they had stones in them, and we had the little tiny stones, grape pips. And Jean and I had to sit and open each one of these up and pull out the stones. So you can see why it was a 2-day process. And also, let's say the currants and so on didn't come in, the dried fruit did not come in boxes. You used to go and buy it, and it was a big barrel of stuff, and they'd weigh out what you wanted. There's the fruit. That's easy to mix up. It says on my recipe, chop the candied peel. Well, look, I could just go to the store now and buy it. Oh yes, blanch and chop the almonds, which meant you took almonds with skin on and you pour boiling water over them. When they cooled down, you slipped off the skins and then you started chopping. Well, today you can either buy it already done, as I have, or you can chop it up in the Cuisinart. Now, not just my mother made these puddings, of course, but your father's mother made puddings, and you've all heard the story about how she would move from house to house and take her Christmas puddings with her. Grate these apples in this wonderful, modern, quick way. So in go the apples. A grated carrot. I always used to think this was a very strange thing to put in, but I was assured by my mother that Christmas puddings had to have a carrot. The sugar, 3/4 pound of breadcrumbs, in they go. And then comes something that a lot of people really get quite surprised at. There is a pound of shredded suet that goes in. Here it is. This is a very old way of making desserts. There used to be lots of boiled puddings. They were filling and they were made with ingredients that were available and were at one time very popular. Now we know they're not quite so good for the arteries, which is why we don't have them all the time, but Christmas is special. So there we are, mixed up 2 large lemons, grated lemons, and the lemon juice. So I'll put that in. I measure out 1/2 pint of Guinness. You can see the Guinness here, which is a very heavy stout. 1/2 pint. So I shall measure out 10 ounces because this is an imperial pint, which is 21 ounces. In it goes. 6 eggs. Large eggs. Don't have to beat them up much, just till they're really well mixed. In go the eggs. All right, now it's really beginning to get heavy. But is it beginning to look familiar? Measure out my pound of flour. 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So we shake this in. And usually by this time, I was saying to one of you boys, here, come on, give it a stir. This is getting hard. A couple of teaspoonfuls of cinnamon. And then something called mixed spice. It's a mixed spice of nutmeg, cinnamon, coriander. So once again, all has to be mixed up. I need 4 tablespoons of brandy. So there we are. One final mix. Now it is at this point, of course, where one decides, well, it's time to put the wishes in. Right. You've got to make a wish. You've got to close your eyes.
And yes, of course, otherwise it doesn't work.
No.
Yes,
and you never tell what your wish is. I
just want to have a look at this first before I close my eyes.
Smells good, doesn't it?
It does smell very good, very good.
Now, how we cook these is we take a piece of wax paper, or as we used to call it in England, greaseproof paper, and you can see I cut it, and it's going to fit exactly in there. You take foil, put it on, really make it really tight. So you've got a good seal. So we cook these by steaming them, and they have to be steamed for a long time. I steam them for 10 hours. So we take the Christmas pudding and we put it into the water, and the water comes up about halfway. So the lid will go on, and the heat will go on, and then once the water boils, it will be brought down to a simmer. Once everything has been cooked for 10 hours, they are removed and you let them cool down, and then you take off the coverings and you replace them with identical coverings. And then here we come to a Christmas pudding that was made in 2007. So that's more than 3 years ago. And that's the one that we will be having on Christmas Day this year. But I'm using it to show you how we actually serve this. About a week beforehand, the pudding, which is now really quite hard and dry, I will pour on a little brandy and just let it sit. It will just sit in its pot. And then on the day, it will go back on the stove. It doesn't have to be in a pot the size that we've just had, but a smaller pot, and it will steam for 2 hours. We take the serving dish and place it over the top. So I pick up the plate on top of the dish containing the Christmas pudding, turn it over, imagine it steaming, lovely aroma coming from the top, and then I would take a little sugar, sprinkle it over the top, and of course a piece of holly. When we take it in and serve it with the custard sauce, and we take brandy, pour it over and flame it. This is the finished Christmas pudding, and now you have it on record how to make the Christmas pudding, although of course you've all done this with me for many years. It's been a lot of fun.